Now, with this new case in North Texas, a lot of you may have questions about measles and how it's transmitted.
All right, so let's get to some of those answers this afternoon. Dr. David Winter from Baylor Scott & White is with us now with more information on this. First of all, doctor, thank you for being with us. Second, how concerned should we be now that there has been a case of measles identified here in North Texas?
Yeah, measles is said to be the most contagious virus on the planet. If a person with measles walks through a crowded room, 90% of people in that room that aren't vaccinated will come down with measles. The measles virus is it stays around for a while. If it's in the air, it'll last for 2 hours. If it's on a tabletop, doorknob, kitchen utensil, it'll last another 2 hours with that. So it's highly contagious right now, and we should all be concerned if we're not immunized.
Okay, and again, the good news here is that they've been able, with this Rockwall patient, to find all of their contacts recently and notify them. Can we be assured that, those are maybe the people that person came into contact with, but if you're saying here that this can stick around on doorknobs and in the air like that, can we be assured that every person who may have come into contact with some residual stuff there may not have been affected?
Yeah, that's my concern also. So there have been 124 cases this week in Texas. That's twice as many as there were a week and a half ago. So it's starting to spread, and it's out there right now. Now, most adults, most everyone who got a vaccination when they were a kid are immune. If there's a question, you have some underlying heart disease, kidney disease, liver disease, if your immune system isn't top notch, you can get a blood test. It can tell if you have antibodies for the measles in you from the vaccine. So there's a good way to test if there's any question about that.
Yeah, it's just staggering how quickly this spreads. It's that exponential spread like I think we all became so familiar with during COVID.
Now, Dr. Winter, one of the things about measles, you mentioned how contagious it is, but you could be spreading the virus if you have it before any of these symptoms show up, correct?
That's true. It takes about a day or two typically for the rash to show up. And it is a rash that usually starts on the head. Flat red dots go down to your neck and then to your torso. You also have a high fever, a dry cough, maybe a little runny nose, and red, watery eyes. Those are the symptoms of measles. If you start to get those, please stay home, stay away from other people. We don't know who out there is immunized and who is not right now.
Dr. Winter, I have young kids. We've heard from lots of moms and in the mom groups in particular about concerns for children, right? We know that measles can really affect some of the youngest kids, 5 and under. And technically, you're not supposed to, on the standard vaccine schedule, get the first measles immunization, that MMR shot, until 12 months. So what advice do you have for parents of kids who aren't vaccinated yet?
Yeah, the younger kids, I'd keep them away from crowds. You might want to even stay away from daycare centers for the next week or so. Let's see what happens. It's on the uptick right now, so we don't know what's going to happen going forward. But I think I'd be very concerned about that. Now, if you're vaccinated, you're fine. The vaccines are highly effective.
All right, so Dr. Winter, what does somebody do right now? We just showed those symptoms a moment ago. What does somebody do if they have symptoms or if someone in their family has symptoms?
Yeah, I would call the doctor and just keep in touch with them. Most folks do fine with it. You want to stay home, not to spread it further. But most folks don't get real sick. It's about 1 in 20 or even less than that have to be hospitalized. Only 3% chance of a terrible disease like a death. I mean, we don't see very much of that. But I'd just be careful right now because we don't know how far this is going to go. We're not sure how many people have not been vaccinated. The sad thing to me is that in the year 2000, measles was declared extinct in the Americas, in our country. And that's because so many people had been vaccinated, and for the past couple of years, there had been no cases at all. Now, measles was still present across seas in other countries, and it's come back because some parents have not gotten their children vaccinated. That's why it's allowed to come back. Back in the years 1900s, 2000 up to then, 97% of folks had been vaccinated. That's why it was extinct. But now it's gone down, and we can look for it to come back with a vengeance.
Dr. Winter, spring break is coming up in the next week, 2-3 weeks. A lot of people may be traveling. Any precautions you recommend families take now?
Yeah, if you're vaccinated, I wouldn't be so concerned. If you really worry about that, go get a blood test and see if your measles antibodies are there. They're probably there. But the vaccine is highly effective, so I wouldn't be worried about that. Now, honestly, right now we're in a flu epidemic out there, and there's still some COVID out there. There's a norovirus, so there's a lot of stuff out there. So if you're traveling for spring break, be careful. A mask does help. Washing your hands help. If you wash them for 20 seconds, count to 20 slowly. Shorter than that doesn't work as well. So be careful. There's a lot of viruses out there. Measles is only one of many that's circulating.
Yeah, there's a lot going on and a lot to think about for sure, and some frayed nerves I think out there. But thanks for the answers today, because I think that knowledge is very powerful. It's good to have that information. Dr. David Winter from Baylor Scott M. White, thanks for taking the time and sharing some expertise with us today.
You bet. Be careful out there.
Thanks, you too.